Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll see how to create or customize the classifier for multiple document types in Studio Web. Also, we'll see how to use generative AI classifier in Studio Web. Before that, let's understand what is the difference between the document understanding that we're going to do now with AI classifier in Studio Web and then the document understanding that we used to do. So previously, when we used to document, when we used to extract the information from any type of document using document understanding, we used to create a taxonomy and then we used to digitize that and then we use a separate classifier and then if required, we'll add one more validation for classifier and then extraction, validation, export, and then we'll train the model based on the new data. But with the generative AI classifier, we can eliminate the creation of taxonomy and then we don't have to train the model because we are already using the generative AI model. So it'll already get trained by itself. So we just use a classifier activity in the Studio Web and then we give the classifier as generative AI classifier and then that will select us or that will tell us the what type of the document. For example, if you give a file, it will analyze that. We have to give a prompt also that just to mention that what type of file it is and then it will automatically tell you that if it is an invoice or it is a payslip. So we will see how to do this. To make it more clear, we'll do this in a use case approach. So this will be our use case. So the use case mainly contains a first step is to extract the files from Google Drive and entire thing is happening in Studio Web. And then so we quickly classify the type of the file using generative AI and then based on the classifier result we'll just do the extraction from that file and then export that results in an Excel and then save it back to Google Drive. This will be the use case and we will see a quick demo on how to customize the classifier with generative AI. So the classifier will take different types and then it might take any type of the file and then it will decide and then it will tell us like is it the invoice or is it a payslip and then we'll see a demo of this in Studio Web. And then this is the classified document that is available from in Studio Web. So firstly, we select the project. It can be a predefined one which you already have, and classifier. So we are going to use generative classifier, and we can use predefined. In general, it will be predefined that you can use your own model that you already deployed in a document understanding. And then we give the prompt. So this prompt will it will be like we give file, we send the file, and then we'll give the prompt as like what type of file it is, and then the generative classifier will take that as an input and then it give us the output like this is an invoice or this is a payslip and then we mention the confidence and then that entire information will be stored in a variable called document data. So I've created a separate video for how to handle the document data. You can check. So let's go to Studio Web. So this is the file that automatically generated by automation builder. So let's see what is it doing. So firstly it is downloading, you are uploading the file and then it is uploading it to storage bucket and getting it from there. And then it is extracting and then throwing an action item for you to decide whether the extraction is correct or not. So but in our use case, in the real world use case, you will not, here it is limited to single file. So in real world use case it will not be limited to single file. We might need to keep n number of types and it has to decide by itself like what is the type and then it has to, accordingly it has to extract, right? So in our use case, as I mentioned before, so we have two types. One is invoice and then another is a payslip. And now let's see how to do that in Studio Web. So going back. So I already created the flow for getting the files from the drive, getting these two files from the drive. I made a separate video. I'll be putting that in the description. Just if you want, you can go check it out. So here what it does is it will just get the files and then it will print the names of those files. Just quickly run. So we have two files there. invoice sample and payslip. Now let's see how to classify in Studio Web. So to classify the document, we have an activity called classify document of document understanding. If you see this, select that. For project, you have to select your document understanding project. By default, it will be left with predefined. If you required, you can click on plus and then you can create a new project. So I'm keeping predefined. And then for classifier, so here we need to use the generative AI classifier. So if I click on here, you will see the different types. I'm selecting generative classifier. So for generative classifier, we have to give the prompt. So within this prompt, the key and value. So this is a dictionary. So for key, we have to give the document type name. For example, in my list, I have invoice and then a payslip, right? So first one, I'll name, first field is for document name. So within the dictionary, key and value. So key should be invoice, which is a document type name. And then the value should be the description. So the type is invoice and then general, just a description of that type, general invoice of a company. Then similarly, I have a payslip. So I'm giving document type as payslip and then so general company payslip. Clicking on save. So now we give the prompt and then now we have to select the input. So here the input will be the current item of for each loop. So you just click here, go to for each and then current G drive item. Then if we click on show additional options, confidence I kept minimum by default it was 50 and then I'm leaving it as it is. Then here you have to create a variable. So I'm keeping it as it is. Now let's take a log message. Within the log message, I'm going to print it. And, so we are going to send a file, right? So each time it will be taking a file and then it will do the prompt and then it will get the document type, whether if it is invoice or payslip. So here, since we gave only two, so if you have more document types, you can just add it here and then it will automatically classify for you. So under additional options, we have document data. So now we need to print the document type name. Just classify document data type name. So this will give you the document type name. So just remove the right line. Just keep one. And then also we'll just print it like for this file path. It is classified as this type. So let's add the full path or its full name would be enough. Now let's play with this string. So it is like a just string dot just string formation. Like you keep 0 and then 1 and then 0 in place of 0 you'll print, it will print the first value. In place of 1 it will print the second value. So now let's modify this. This is this is the file type of this path. Plus here this says like invoice and then this is the file type of sample1g. So I have two documents in my drive. So sample1 which is an invoice and sample2 is a payslip. So like that it said that invoice is the sample1 and then sample2 is the payslip. So these are you classify the document using generative AI classifier. That's all for today. If you have any feedbacks, ping in the comment section and then see you in next video. Thank you and happy automation.